Pharisees of the time of Jesus had a very specific understanding of who they thought the Messiah would be and what they thought he would do. Their view largely comes from Micah chapter 5, verses 2 through 6. But you, O Bethlehem Ephrathah, who are too little to be among the clans of Judah, from you shall come forth for me one who is to be ruler in Israel, whose coming forth is from old, from ancients of days. This is Jesus we're talking about. Therefore he shall give them up until the time when she who is in labor has given birth. Then the rest of his brothers shall return to the people of Israel. And he shall stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord his God. And they shall dwell secure, for now he shall be a great to the ends of the earth. And he shall be their peace. When the Assyrian comes into our land and treads into our palaces, then we will raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 princes of men. They shall shepherd the land of Assyria with the sword, and the land of Nimrod at its entrances. And he shall deliver us from the Assyrian when he comes into our land and treads within our border. It's clear from this passage that the Pharisees believed that their Messiah was going to be a conqueror. They believed that the Messiah would be a great king, one that would lead them into war, free Israel from oppression, and make Israel great again. Perhaps now you see where I'm going with this. They were correct in the idea that the Messiah would be a great king, and they were correct in the idea that the Messiah would be a great conqueror. But their vision of what the Messiah was going to conquer and rule over was small. Instead, the true Messiah would be the son of a carpenter, a man who no one perceived as being anything great. The Pharisees stood before the Messiah. They spoke to the Messiah. Some even broke bread with the Messiah, yet they still were waiting for what they thought was the true Messiah. Eventually, these same Pharisees ended up killing the Messiah, the true Messiah, under false pretenses. Gracefully enough, God gave himself up for us, that he would die on the cross, conquer sin, conquer death, so that whoever would believe in him would not perish but have everlasting life. Jesus, the true Messiah, came to earth, lived the life that we should have lived, and died the death that we deserve. The idea was that Christ was coming to conquer the main issue. He wasn't coming to conquer a nation or an empire. He wasn't coming to establish a temporary kingdom in Israel. Instead, he was coming to conquer sin and death so that Israel would be more than just a nation. It would be a church, a worldwide revolution of what it meant to follow God. You see, the true Messiah, Jesus, is not a political leader. He is not someone that intends to lead Israel to be a great nation. Rather, he was a lowly servant whose intention was to lead all who believe in him and confess him as Lord to God. In John 14:6, Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Okay, so you're probably getting this far and you're understanding the gospel. If you're a Christian, you understand the gospel. You know what I'm talking about. So what exactly is my point? I'm asking you to examine yourself and understand, where do your loyalties lie? Does your life display that you are a follower of Christ first and foremost? Or are you a conservative Republican first and foremost? I see so many Christian conservatives undeniably supporting Donald Trump on everything he says, does, or wants to do. And quite frankly, many of the moves that he makes, I don't believe reflects the character of Jesus. Friends, we must pray for our leaders and obey our governing authorities, but not to the extent that we compromise our beliefs as Christ followers. We must stop looking at our lives and our world through the lens of an American citizen, and instead we should focus ourselves and recenter ourselves to look at the world through the lens of Christ. We should be looking at the world from the lens of a kingdom citizen, a citizen of his kingdom, of Christ's true kingdom. Read God's word. What does he say to you? What does he say we should align ourselves with? What should we believe? What is right? What is proper? What is good? What is wrong? What is bad? What is evil? And it's true. Most of what we believe in the Bible lines up with traditional conservative values. But that doesn't mean that everything traditional conservatism preaches aligns with God's word. We need to be aligning ourselves with what he says, not what we think he should say. Donald Trump is not our Messiah, and he can't save us from the true consequences of sin. If you find yourself agreeing with every single thing the Republican Party or Donald Trump does, you may very well be the target audience for this video. We do not worship kings of this world. We worship the King of Kings, the King that is not of this world. And I don't want you to misunderstand me. I do believe, as an American, that Donald Trump is the right choice to lead our country. I believe that a lot of his policies are going to help the economy soar. I believe that he's going to allow traditional values to thrive. I believe it helps give Christians a stronger voice in the United States when it comes to policy and lawmaking. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be involved in politics. The Bible seems to be very clear that Christians should actively have a role in their political system in the country they live in. And we should speak up for those who are oppressed, and we should speak against things that are morally wrong. These are all very true things, and politics are not a bad thing. But ultimately, traditional conservatism does not address the issue of man's heart. Our focus as Christians has to be first and foremost sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and his conquering of death. You see, no matter how hard you try, man will always be corrupt. Government will always be corrupt. There will always be someone in power that wants more power. There will always be a fight for good and evil. So instead of our focus being make America great again, allow our focus to be make Jesus relevant again. If we live according to the wisdom and guidance of God, and we live according to his will for our lives, and we live according to what Christ deems as holy, we will do more for America than Donald Trump could do in a million years. Christians, we have to have a kingdom perspective first. Put on your Jesus glasses and look through the lens of a follower of Christ. Our battle is not left and right. It is up and down. If your focus is to tell people about Christ and what he's done for us, that is the most change that we can, that will bring about the most change. Again, I'm not saying don't be involved in politics. Being involved in your political system is extremely important. And there are some Christian men and women out there that are called to run for office. And that is a really good thing, and they can make amazing changes. God has a role for all of us. But ultimately, it has to come down to what God calls us to do, what Christ calls us to do. And that is share the good news. We are citizens of a greater kingdom. This empire, the empire of the United States, one day it will fade away, it'll fall. But God is eternal, and the kingdom he has laid out for us is eternal. And there are those out there that don't know Jesus Christ that are going to suffer for eternity because they haven't been told, because they haven't come to know him. Our focus has to be eternal. It has to be a kingdom perspective.